This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm Roby Brock, joined by Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin of the great state of Arkansas. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while.
Good to see you.
Thank you for having me. I was trying to stay out of the hallways of the Capitol up there when the session was going on.
You're a smart man.
Yes, let reporters handle that daily grind up there. So, you kept the trains running on time, though, didn't you?
I'm trying to bring some military discipline to the clock.
We'll see about that.
It's all good.
I want to talk about government transformation. This is something you have talked about a lot. The governor has talked about it. You've been part of an initiative to make some of this happen. We saw on Friday of last week, the governor announced a big online vehicle registration initiative here as an example of what can be done. Kind of speak to me a little bit in terms of how massive do you think this could be in terms of reducing costs, improving services?
Sure. First of all, what the governor was doing late last week is leveraging technology to give better services to the taxpayer, better services to Arkansans for less money. And I call it giving more for less. Yeah. And you're actually accomplishing more for less money. But I've been talking about transformation since the 2014 campaign. Transformation means big change, bold change, whether you're talking about the Army, the military, whether you're talking about government. And the reason it's so important, and I'm so excited that the governor is pursuing this so vigorously, the reason it's important, it really is the key to everything that we want to do as a state. Why? Because it deals with how we spend taxpayer dollars. And here are the 4 reasons we need to transform. Number 1, we have a moral obligation not to take people's money and spend it any way other than wisely. Yeah. And if we can improve on how we're spending people's money, we need to do that. It's a moral obligation. Number 2, we will deliver services better. Not worse, better. People will get better customer service. They'll get better services from their government. Government will do what it's supposed to do better. Number 3, we'll do it cheaper, less money. That's the less, doing more for less. And number 4, whether we like it or not, other states are doing this. Ohio's got something called the CSI, Common Sense Initiative, looking at all the regulations, looking at what's duplicative and overly burdensome. Other states are doing this, so we've got to transform government if we're going to compete.
Some people would say CSI stands for crime scene investigation.
Some people might say that.
There could be some robbing going on.
There might be a little branding there.
That's right.
But let me just add this. The governor adopting this or pursuing this initiative, transformation, is so important, and I'm honored that he's let me be on that transformation board.
I want to dive a little bit deeper in that because you've hit the highlights, the talking points. We've talked about this for a while. How do you get a grasp for assessing what the savings is going to be?
Sure.
So take online vehicle registration, and maybe you can't do this in anything more than theory. Here's what it costs to deliver online vehicle registration in person, which you're still going to have to do and provide that service.
Right.
Now we can do it online. Here's the savings that comes out of that. Where is the evaluation of what that is saving?
Sure. Well, first of all, you've got to look at how much you're going to have to invest to get it done. But you can also look over the long haul at how more efficiently you can do it. For example, if you've got 10 people working on a project that only needs 1, there can be savings there. But the key is you don't lay those people off. You don't have to. You use natural attrition as your friend. What is natural attrition? Over time, people move to other jobs, they retire, maybe they retrain, reskill for something else. So this is an iterative process that takes a long time, and that's why I'm excited the governor is tackling it now, has been for the last couple of years, because it takes years to do this. Some of the savings, you just have to know that if you have a more efficient way of doing things, it's going to be there's going to be savings. But also, you know for a fact that it's going to be easier for the taxpayer because you can do it on your smartphone or whatever, and you can say, would you rather do this or would you rather do that?
So how is the process working to
Get there?
to identify,
Sure.
let's go to this agency and figure out what we can do more efficiently. Let's go to this agency, and after some review, we can't do this anymore
Well,
efficiently. Is that going on?
Yeah, so the governor is the ultimate decider here, right? So all I can do is recommend, give my opinion. He's the ultimate decider. This is his initiative, and he's in charge of this.
But you're going through some sort of analysis
Yes.
and providing some
Yes.
sort of recommendation.
Yeah, that's right.
What's that look like?
So first of all, I would step back from even saying that we go to an agency, because if you go to an agency, you assume that agency ought to exist as it's currently constituted. When in fact, maybe the answer is to create something that takes part of that agency and pairs it with something else. Or maybe we find that government's doing something that it's not best at, and it could be better done elsewhere. You know, Governor Mitch Daniels of Indiana used to say, if it's in the yellow pages, why are we doing it? Now that's sort of a little, just an example that he was using. But the point is, yes, we're going to agencies, and we are having people that work in those agencies, and maybe more importantly, people that have interacted with those agencies from the outside. And we're saying, how could this be better? What did this agency do well? What did this agency do poorly? How can we do a better job? And we're doing that with a lot of different agencies, also with the idea of boards and commissions, but sometimes we're not looking at a specific agency, we're looking at an idea. For example, real estate. Well, there's a lot of different agencies that deal with real estate, but sometimes it's more important to look at the topic instead of looking at the agency.
So give me an example. You got State Building Services, manages
sure.
the state's real estate, but you've got agencies that own real estate.
That own real estate, that have decided with past governors that they need a new building or whatever, right? So there are leases, and some of them are managed by the central authority. There are other contracts that agencies have individually. So I was asked to lead a real estate subcommittee. So I heard that I was over in Tennessee talking with the governor and lieutenant governor, and learned that they had done a lot of interesting stuff on real estate. And they had saved tens of millions of dollars.
Give me a couple of examples of what they did in Tennessee.
Well, what they did was they learned that they needed to get some outside people in the private sector to help them better manage some of these contracts. They also found, and they've saved millions. The other thing that they learned,
because there was incompetency within the state government ranks, or
it was because there were some
decisions. They could put the contract out
decisions
there where they could offer less money for what they had to do.
Well, there were some decisions in government that were being driven by factors that were different than what were in the private sector. Like these companies could say, we need to do what's best for the government, whereas in government, some people would say, well, Bill's always had that contract.
Yeah.
Right? So there's some of those type of things going on. But there's also, for example, on the maintenance side, there had been for years the idea that let's do the bare minimum of maintenance and we'll save money. That was the government. And they brought in folks that said, no, if you will use the latest and greatest technology and efficiency, you will find that it's actually more beneficial to have properly working,
in the long run, right?
In the long run, have properly working buildings. So anyway, so we brought the Tennessee team. I called the governor's office and said, will you loan us your team that led your real estate transformation?
At no charge, please. No charge.
At no charge. They came over, they spent the day, and they briefed the transformation board. Yeah. And so there's some lessons there. So there's a bunch of different lessons. This is a big, complicated deal. And again, I appreciate the governor tackling this And there's a lot of different views on the Transformation Advisory Board in government. We don't always agree, and so I applaud the governor for taking voices that he may or may not agree with and letting them have input.
So I can ask this question from a couple different perspectives, but it's the same question. How much waste, fraud, abuse, or in other words, how much more efficiency is there to drive in state government? If you're looking at a $6.5 billion budget today, what do you think is realistic 5 years from now?
Well, I'm going to return to one. I have my idea on that. Mm-hmm. My idea may differ from some other people's, and I'm not the governor.
But it's less.
Let me tell you.
Give me some generalities.
Let me tell you. We can save, I believe, over the long run, we can save hundreds of $millions a year. A year, mm-hmm. Okay? There are, we have a lot of great, hardworking government workers. The problem are the systems that we have forced them to work within. We have 1960s, 1970s, 1980s type systems. I mean, look, let's just take a simple concept that the governor has jumped on, which I think is awesome. In fact, when he told me that he was going to do this, I got so excited. I said, Governor, this is a direct quote, I said, this is a game changer, potentially. If we do it the way I believe it should be done and the way I think it will be done. And that is reducing the number of agencies reporting to the governor. Why should the governor of Arkansas have more agencies reporting to him or her than the President of the United States?
Sure.
That doesn't make any sense. So tackling these sorts of issues, and you can't look at this, it's really important to emphasize this, you can't look at this as a linear process. We're going to look at this agency, then we're going to look at this agency, then we're going to do this agency. You can't do it that way.
It's all moving.
It has to be what we just call iterative. There's a bunch of moving parts all happening at once, and sometimes you find that there's synergy between the changes you're looking at over here and what you thought were totally unrelated changes over here. They end up working together for a better result. So this is a monumental task, and I will say this: transformation will determine what our tax code looks like, what our regulatory structure looks like, whether we can fund transportation, whether we can get to a tax code ultimately where the governor wants to go that is competitive with other states. All of that relates to transformation.
All right, I got to ask you this because I got you in the chair. And I talked about these subjects with Jan Morgan, who is challenging the governor just a week ago here. And she actually used your name in her quote there. She said that she was going to pull Tim Griffin out of the attic that the governor's put him in, and that together there would be a double dose of conservatism in the state of Arkansas if she was governor with Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin there. Your reaction to that quote?
Well, yeah.
It sounds like you're not in the attic.
My wife would be surprised to know that I've been hiding in the attic. Look, I've met Miss Morgan on several occasions, talked with her. She's been nothing but kind and gracious to me. Look, I haven't. The governor has utilized me extensively. In fact, the governor has asked me to assist on what I see are some of the biggest challenges that Arkansas has.
Yeah.
I started out, well, let me just say that I started out, Common Core in the testing, and then DHS review. Right. He asked me to do that. He put me on the Military Affairs Committee, which has to do with keeping the bases that we have here and welcoming more veterans and military. And then, of course, the Transformation Advisory Board, which, gosh, that's been 2 years, I guess, and this is a long-term deal. So I have been anywhere but the attic, I can assure you.
Are you going to make a pick in this primary?
Absolutely. I'm going to be supporting the governor, no question. Look, I think what he's doing on this transformation stuff is, first of all, it's my passion, and I am so excited that he's aggressively pursuing this. Absolutely supporting the governor.
All right. And so where does Jan Morgan fit into conservative politics and potentially governing if she were to not win the nomination this time?
Well, look, I'm gonna stay out of all that. I've tried my best. I've tried my best to focus on my race, but I'll leave that to some of your other buddies to comment on. But no question, I'm supporting the governor, and I am so excited to be working on transformation. Look forward to working on it in his second term.
All right. I will look for more of these initiatives to play themselves out over the next couple of months. Tim Griffin,
Great.
Lieutenant Governor of the state of Arkansas, good to see you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in. That is all for today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you next time.
Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation provides electric energy across 2/3 of Arkansas. This is an exciting time in our energy history, with incredible progress being made in renewable energy and storage technologies. As our energy portfolio continues to diversify, we'll maintain an all-the-above strategy to provide reliable and affordable electricity. Ever since the first light bulbs were placed in our members' homes, the electric cooperatives have been the solutions provider for our members, and we want to continue that well into the future.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America, moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.